All right, welcome everybody. Today I'm going to be going over again. We got to do the ripoffs and scams. They never seem to go away. Have to touch on that. It's the more you look into it, the more disgusted you are. But that's kind of my plight. I'll get into that in a bit. Also going to go over some political stories as well. Nancy Pelosi stepping down, and there's a lot on the economic and business front that we're going to hit on today. But first, let's get into more of this Sam Bankman-Fried and other stories that I'm seeing that are out there at this point in time. Scams never seem to go away. They just don't. They just don't. I've been doing my radio show for 22 years, covering ripoffs and scams. We used to spend a hell of a lot more time covering them on the program. I didn't throw my hands up in the air. I kind of came to the realization there's only so much I can do. And maybe I ought to focus more on the program and on other things and touch on that here and there. And my goal is to help you not get ripped off, not to lose money. That's always been the goal here on the program. And I'm still trying to find, after 22 years of doing the show, I'm still trying to find the right mix, because my plight is like the Sisyphus. I love Greek mythology. As you all know, I go to it on a regular basis here on the program. I also write about it as well. Go back to my stories during the dot-com run-up with Icarus in the stock market. Sisyphus was he's a king of Corinth. Okay, he gets himself in trouble, works his way out of the underworld, works his way out, tricks Hades. Eventually, push comes to shove. Long story short, he is sentenced for eternity to push a rock up to the top of a hill and have it roll down on him. And I describe my plight very similar, doing the same thing, warning people about ripoffs and scams. And the majority, they don't listen. They don't. I'm trying to get better at what I do, but again, lesson learned. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to stop, but the overwhelming majority of people, they don't listen. They don't listen. They want to believe. They get bought into the idea that they can get rich quick, or there's a better way, or there's a shortcut. Again, it kind of ties it into, I'm a bit of a cross between Sisyphus and Cassandra, another Greek mythological figure where Cassandra can tell the future, but no one believes her. So yeah, I call them "see, I told you so" moments on the program, and that's what they are. So again, you imagine you're Cassandra, you can tell the future, all these bad things, you warn people, but nobody believes you. That's what she was sentenced with. Those Greek gods, they were sons of bitches, that's for sure. Anyway, Sam Bankman-Fried becomes an ESG truth teller. I had to tell this. This is hilarious. Again, all of these things we explained to you. He virtue signaled by committing to make FTX carbon neutral. And of course, he donated generously to fashionable progressive causes, solar energy in the Amazon River basin, all sorts of sustainability initiatives. Meanwhile, he was taking money and putting it into ill-advised bets, losing people a fortune. It's funny. There's an ESG. This is a business. I'm in the business of bullshit, these guys say. It's an ESG ratings company. It's called True Value Labs. They actually gave FTX a higher score on leadership and governance than ExxonMobil. This is a company that had a couple people running it, no CFO, and it got a better rating on leadership and governance, because again, it didn't matter what the reality is. It matters, what causes you, well, at least you say you believe in, or what like buttons you hit, or how woke you are. Remember, just popped into my head. Fat, what was it? Dean Wormer. Fat, dumb, and stupid is no way to go through life. Remember that? Again, this is no way to invest. by any stretch. Take a look, more information coming there. I mean, they actually use emojis. That's right. Emojis on their books, on their ledger. How many people could you imagine sending your accountant at the end of the year, rather than having it from actually having emojis and sending it to your accountant based upon yes, no, I mean, just a myriad of things. Oh my God. Yeah, that's what they did. That was their corporate books there. And again, leadership and governance. Yeah, and more is going to come out. More is going to come out. But the reality is, again, I'm sorry to say, if you get anything, it'll probably about 10 cents on the dollar, if that. It is what it is. Still going on with ripoffs and scams. Here's another one I've been warning people about for years and years and years. Everybody treated this guy like he was a god. This Masa Son from SoftBank. He could teach a class. We had Bill de Blasio. We talked about that yesterday. Bill de Blasio teaching a class at Harvard on, I guess, how not to run a city. This guy could teach a class on how to go about losing money in tech. I mean, billions. But again, I don't get it. I don't know how these guys go about getting all of this money flowing their way when all they do is continually lose. I don't understand it. Not to mention this guy owns the SoftBank $5 billion personally. Yeah, I'm sure he's got that lying around. And then I saw this. Wall Street Journal. FINRA. Again, we got the SEC, and then you've got FINRA. Those are the two cops on the beat. Yeah, right. They put out a regulatory notice that warned that certain small cap issuers, typically those that raise less than $25 million, may be subjected to pump and dump like schemes, which appear to be linked to social media scams known as pig butchering. These schemes often begin with a seemingly misdirected online message, leading to a relationship between victims and bad actors, sometimes romantic in nature. After a relationship is established, the bad actor will make recommendations to the victim to place limit orders in certain securities at a specific time and price. A lot of these issuers operated are in China, Hong Kong. This is not new. It's not new. I told you it's just a reinvention of stuff that's happened in the past. Okay, back in the day, they'd have, a boiler room, they used to call it, boardroom full of hundreds and hundreds of people dialing for dollars, calling people up, pitching stock. You've seen the movie Boiler Room. You can watch The Wolf on Wall Street. Same shit, just done differently. Nothing changes. Well, I'm glad FINRA's warning everybody about this. If they really wanted to, they could put a stop to it, but that's not what they do. They put out a warning that nobody is going to find out about. Never going to be in any major publication. We'll talk about it here, but what good is it going to do, quite frankly? If you are so inclined to invest in one of these small cap, micro cap companies, and you haven't basically said to yourself, I'm just gambling, money goes away, I don't care. Guess what? You're a fool. You're a fool. I mean, at some point in time, you've got to take some personal responsibility when it comes to your money. Anyway, enough on that. We covered a lot of that today. Let's get into some of the political stuff. I might stun some people with this. Maybe not. I think I might have mentioned it before. Nancy Pelosi stepping down. Nancy Pelosi stepping down, and I would have to say that I'm trying to think off the top of my head. As far as effective politicians, she's in Michael Jordan, LeBron James, GOAT area. She is. I don't care. You might not like her. I don't care for her policies. I don't care for her politics. But she most certainly very good at what she did. I mean, she ran a very tight ship over there. Like I said, I'm a Yankee fan. But when I go to Yankee games, I remember back I used to go a lot back in the 1990s. I lived in New York City, and you get those hot July games. This is in the old Yankee Stadium against the Red Sox, and Yankee fans, Red Sox suck. Ortiz, you suck. No, I never ever. I don't understand that nonsense. I never get that. But anyway, I mean, yeah, did I not like the fact that those guys on that Red Sox team were awesome? Yeah, I mean, they would, beat us. We'd beat them, whatever it may be. But you got to respect it. You have to respect how she got things done. And again, I'm impressed by what the Democrats are doing. It looks like they're going to Hakeem Jeffries from Brooklyn, going young. I think it's a good idea. It's a good idea. I think it's something I wish the Republicans would start pushing some of these older folks aside and get some new blood in there. What do we get? Mitch McConnell. I would say Mitch McConnell knows the ropes. He does. He knows the ropes. He knows how all of the rules, the ins and out of the Senate and all the stuff that goes on. I get that. So, I wish he would kind of move to behind the scenes. You can help out the Senate Majority Leader, give them advice, consult, but you've got to get somebody in there that's new. You have to. Anyway, here we go. I got to get into the cult of DJT. Donald J. Trump. Yeah. I got to tell this story. I know I might have told this before. Again, I'm going back to the 90s again. Back in the 90s, Donald Trump is taking his casino company public. And back then, they would do these little roadshow due diligence meetings where people on Wall Street would go and listen, and you could ask questions of the CEO of the company. The symbol was DJT. And I think the underwriter is no longer in business. It was a company called Sands Brothers, if I'm not mistaken, somebody else. And I went to the due diligence meeting, and it was like it was put on by the WWE. I kid you not. I mean, I've been to a lot of due diligence meetings, especially back then. And stage and disco ball and lights and ladies and gentlemen. And, I mean, holy cow. And I'm laughing in the back. I'm looking at this, the prospectus for this piece of shit company, because that's what it was, knowing that it was going to go under. And like I said, Cassandra called that one too. Anyway, the cult of Donald Trump. Well, a spokeswoman for Donald Trump was none too happy, went on Steve Bannon's War Room. I didn't even heard of this. There's this network. It's called Right Side Broadcasting. Well, Liz Harrington blasted the mainstream media while standing in a large event hall at Mar-a-Lago. And she said they don't want the American people to hear directly from the biggest leader of the greatest political movement in our history. Are you getting it? All tired of these claims and exaggerations? I mean, at all? You people that you super Trump, the greatest political movement in our history? Anyway, so I do suspect they'll try to censor and cut away. However, the people are anxious to hear from him, so they will go right around the major networks, and they do indeed cut away. And she says that's what you have to do now. She says ignoring Trump's address is a violation of the constitutional right to free speech. We do have the First Amendment. It's under attack. No, it's not, you twit. You dumb twit. You can say whatever you want. You have the right to free speech, but you don't have the right to be heard. If they don't want to pay attention to him, I mean, that's not a violation of someone's First Amendment rights. And again, these are the people that Donald Trump surrounds himself with. Sycophants, fools. Anyway, Chris Christie. This is from Peggy Noonan's piece today. And again, like I said, I'm equal opportunity basher. I've gone after some of Peggy Noonan's columns and whatnot, but this, again, she makes some good points here. And again, I'm just, call me names, send nasty messages. You're part of the Trump cult. I get all that. Just hear me out, okay? Again, it's a sign of a little bit of maturity if you can actually debate people without getting angry. Chris Christie got a standing ovation from the Republican Governors Association this week after delivering fiery words that captured the inner views of audience members, including GOP office holders from 50 states, donors, party figures, and operatives. He said that the midterms basics said voters rejected crazy. And Christie said the midterms were an actual change point in the history of the party, that its central struggle can no longer be avoided. That struggle is how and why to put Trump in the rear view mirror. And again, I can go on with this argument. He gives a ton of different arguments, and the arguments that I've made too. The way that you handle this, I'm giving my way of handling this, okay? You got to highlight all of the good things that Donald Trump did, because he did a lot of good things. I'm not taking that. I don't want to vote for the guy anymore. I voted for him twice. I'm not going to vote for him again. But I'm not going to take away any of the good things that he did, just as much as I wouldn't take away any of the good things that were done under Bill Clinton's administration. And there were some pretty darn good things. I'm not going to take anything away from his accomplishments. And I think that's something that the Republican Party needs to address. The guy's got a massive ego. He does. And you're going to have to, talk about that, all the great things, you know what, and then move somebody else in at some point in time. Again, another thing Wall Street Journal wrote about today, and I'm in agreement with this. All the good things that Donald Trump did leading up to COVID. Again, I've read a lot on the things, the happenings, the books surrounding COVID that were written. Scott Atlas's book in particular. Donald Trump made poor choices. He's president of the United States. He had Atlas to talk to. He decided to go with Fauci and Birx. 15 days to stop the spread turned into what? Seemed to me like it was like an eternity, for crying out loud. And, we talked about respiratory diseases. We got into the ins and outs of science of these things here on the program. And the things that we talked about ended up being right. I don't have a PhD in any of this. I'm not a medical doctor, any of these things, but I can read. And he botched it. He did. The response to COVID was not good, people. It wasn't. March 29th, 2020 is a day that should live in infamy. The National Mitigation Plan against COVID-19, 15 days to stop the spread, was about to expire. In the Rose Garden, President Trump declared that lockdowns would continue for another 30 days. This is Justin Hart who wrote this. He said, I tweeted, President Trump just lost the election. When Trump announced his 2024 campaign Tuesday, he didn't apologize for the lockdowns or even mention them. I supported him in 2016, and during his tenure, he did much to dredge the political swamps, but his decision to approve and extend drastic COVID interventions should disqualify him for a second term. Again, this guy's point. I don't know what your thoughts are on this. The White House Coronavirus Task Force, led by Vice President Mike Pence, Anthony Fauci, and Deborah Birx, put the Constitution into an induced coma. Trump's decision to adopt Chinese Communist Party tactics and close down the country gave license to states to amplify and extend these terrible policies, to governors to wield unprecedented executive powers, and to school districts to shut out students for months, even years. Trump did very little to constrain this overreach. His dramatic COVID order shut down your business, barred your kids from school, denied you access to your church, your gym, your coffee shop. It suppressed screenings and treatments for cancer and other illnesses and kept people from visiting loved ones in the hospital or attending funerals. Studies appear weekly, confirming what almost everyone now acknowledges: the lockdowns were futile as well as onerous. See, I told you so. Yeah, we said that here. One of the set of researchers wrote, overall, we conclude that lockdowns are not an effective way of reducing mortality rates during a pandemic. No shit. I knew it was bullshit from day one. Bullshit from day one. All the stores being shut down, but we're sending everybody to the same few stores that were allowed to stay open. So Walmart and Target were packed. This was before masks and the plexiglass and all. Think about all the stupid shit that we were forced to do or endure over that period of time. Those are Trump's guys. Again, Bill Parcells, you are what your record says you are. And again, he's done some good stuff. Focus on that. Push him aside. Anyway, moving on. Getting to some of the economic and business stories here. This from yesterday. St. Louis Federal Reserve President James Bullard says the Fed has a lot of work to do before it brings inflation under control. He said rate hikes have only had limited effects on inflation so far. Again, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, buddy. He actually alluded to almost 7% yesterday. Okay, my first response to Bullard would be, how the hell, outside of sending the country into a deep recession, if not depression, are you going to bring down the price of energy and food? Let me know. I have almost no respect for these people at the Fed. I really do. We talked yesterday about Barry Sternlicht. You need to have people that actually understand how the world works. I don't have a PhD in economics, but my track record is 1,000% better than these schmucks. Listen to the program. Listen to the calls we've made over the years. Inflation's transitory. No, it's not. The money supply is dropped. It's tightening out there. Now what? Well, you're gonna put people out of work. Let's crush the labor market. That's great. Great idea. Super. Makes a lot of sense. Let's wreck the economy, put people out of work, unemployment line. It's gonna be great. Great. To bring inflation down. That's really the only way you can handle this. That's the only way that they can handle it. Again, Congress is not going to do much, right? Biden's not going to change his energy policies. So anyways, we got to have a choice. Either we want inflation to stick around or we're going to wreck the economy. I don't know. I don't know. Makes you want to pull your hair out. Anyway, again, no, go figure. Home sales fell for the 9th straight month in October as higher mortgage rates scared off potential buyers. In other news, sky's blue, water's wet. No surprise there, and it's going to get much, much worse instead of better. It's the reality. Housing prices got out of control. We all know that. They're coming down. And that's, it's what happens. It's an inverse relationship. Different than, again, if people want to allude to 2008, 2009, not a lot of adjustable rate mortgages out there. Let's just leave it at that. The loan quality is a hell of a lot better. And does it matter? Does it matter if your house is worth, if you have a house that was worth $1 million a year ago? Does it matter if it's worth $800,000 this year? Does it change your life at all? I mean, how could it? Anyway, Ray Dalio, interesting piece about China. We talked a lot about China this past week. Talking about the leadership group there. He's not as familiar with them, but he thinks that some of the worries about their policies are overdone. And I tend to agree with that. Again, we talked about China in the program. We're going to talk about it again this weekend. And I'm a much bigger fan of engagement. Much bigger fan of engagement. I remember we talked about you got to have free trade, but it's got to be fair trade. You go back to Reagan, trust but verify. And even, with Xi Jinping, the next guy that I guess is in line to be premier after him is very much pro-business. We need to understand and get the grasp that all the BS that they're telling us about their economy is just that. It's BS. They're in deep trouble. They're in deep, deep trouble right now as far as the real estate is concerned, as far as these local, municipalities, which fund themselves based upon land sales. That's how they go about making money. That's all dried up. So they're in a very, very difficult situation. Again, though, on the flip side, this is why I'm going to say, trust but verify, keep your head on a swivel. Always beware of autocratic regimes that are pushed into a corner. This is why you don't push them into a corner. This is why we got to have some sort of off-ramp. Off-ramp for Vladimir Putin in Russia. You gotta bring the temperature down. Trump's former Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin. Well, we used to talk about Steve here on the program. Yeah, he was involved in a lot of funky securities and whatnot back in the day during the financial crisis. He loaded. You ever see his wife? Anyway, he described the G7's plan for a price cap on Russian oil as ridiculous. Steve's right. He's right. Makes no sense. You're going to put a price cap at a certain level. It's just going to come up to that level. Russia's going to still continue to sell their oil to somebody else. There will be a buyer. Going to happen. This interesting. Two stories here. You got CBS laying off executives, Paramount, part of that, Paramount's company, CBS, having trouble across the board. And again, you take a look at Paramount, I think that they're ripe to get bought at some point in time. The type of quality programming that they have, it's outstanding. In my opinion, Yellowstone, 1883, and you've got, love that, The Offer, the new Stallone show. They're pumping out some good stuff, but they're not selling ads. They're not selling enough ads. And this is the issue with the entire streaming business. They haven't figured it out yet. They haven't figured it out. They haven't figured out how to make money on this. And again, this is a business where you have to spend money. You've got to get new content in. If you're not bringing in new content, people will just cancel it. They'll cancel it. The show's on and they'll move on. It's got to be a regular cycle. And again, they mentioned about FTX's unraveling is the latest blow to the softening ad market. Oh, yeah, these crypto companies, they're advertising like crazy all over the place. Again, back in the 1990s with all the online and discount traders out there. Remember the commercials back there? The tow truck driver with his own island, the kid with the getting grounded. He couldn't use his helicopter that he got from his DLJ direct account. Stewart's going to shake the market up and down. They spent a fortune. Not to mention the Super Bowl ads. I remember back then in the 1990s, you had companies going public and taking a large swath of the money that they just raised from their IPO and spending it on a launch party in a Super Bowl ad. Again, what did I tell people? It's going to fail. It's going to go under. Majority of people, did they listen? Nah. Argowski, you don't know what you're talking about. It's a new economy, new paradigm. Earnings don't matter anymore. Okay, sure. Whatever you say. Drama over at Twitter. Everybody's talking about the Twitter. Elon Musk. It's amazing to me that people can't see through what he's doing. He basically told people, he said, you want to work here, I'm expecting you to work your ass off. I'm expecting to work your ass off. And again, the snowflakes over at Twitter got offended by that. They were offended by it. And I guess what are they saying here? Massive amounts of people are walking out. They're saying 50 to 75% of the remaining workers are quitting. I'll tell you who's going to do well. The ones that stick around and work their ass off. Elon Musk is not stupid. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly the type of people that are there. I like my paycheck. Chick-ching. And again, they got used to it, get entitled to it. Yeah, it's the same thing. You can do it with government handouts. You can do it. It's like, in essence, Twitter and a lot of these tech companies, basically corporate handouts. There's a reason why you go to a national park. They tell you don't feed the animals, right? Not a good idea. Don't overpay your workers. Jay, listen, we pay very, very well, but I'm not going to overpay. It's based upon performance and how well you do. And obviously, they didn't feel that they were doing that well. Get rid of them. I kind of get into that about overpaying. You can pay a rate higher than everybody else, but you better make darn sure that these people actually are earning what you're paying them. And obviously, Musk feels, hey, we can get rid of all these people. That's why he's doing this. He knew what was going to happen. They're claiming, oh my God, it's a disaster. He locked everybody out of the office. Locked everybody out of the office, and they're not allowed in. Key cards not working, not until Monday. Twitter's still working, still operating. The computer program's still going. There are some issues with the FCC and Twitter and legal things that they're going to have to stay on top of. People saying, well, what if it goes bankrupt? He still owns it. He still owns it. I don't think it's going away. He's got to change the model. It is what it is. Anyway, this is interesting. And again, this is where we could be. I mean, God, how we could take advantage of this situation in a good way. It's not a bad way. UK citizens pay the highest electricity bills in the world. They're paying the highest in the world. Ireland pays the second most. Spain, Belgium, Japan, Australia, Switzerland, Netherlands, Germany, Czech Republic. Top 10. These are the ones that have gone up. Electricity prices have gone up. Norway, it's gone up 91% in 5 years. Finland, 37%. UK, 35%. Czech Republic, Denmark, Greece, Netherlands, France, Poland, Ireland. Guys are doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. And this is why if we become completely energy independent and bring our energy prices down, businesses are going to want to set up shop here. In the same way where companies were offshoring their businesses to China because of cheap labor costs to different parts of the world, people will send their businesses to the United States because of cheap energy. Oh, I know they got it in the Middle East, but do you really want to set up in Qatar? See that they're not allowing beer sales at World Cup games? You really want to set up shop there? No, we have everything in the world going for us, but all the potential, we just keep screwing it up, right? Saddest thing in the world is what? Wasted talent. Again, journal echo piece, what we've been talking about here, the word conservative or Tory, whatever it may be in the UK, they got this new Tory leadership. And Inigo Montoya, I don't think the word means what you think it means, because these guys are cutting government spending, not doing it until 2025, and they're raising taxes. You think you're going to grow your economy that way? You think that the people that you want to tax, again, they got a massive financial center in London. You don't think that those jobs are mobile now? They are. They are. I'm working at somebody's financial company. I'd be setting up shop in Miami, for crying out loud. Goodbye. Goodbye. Anyway, yeah, let's go through have some fun stories for Friday. Here, I mentioned Qatar and banning beer sales. Oh, that COP27 thing, it happened in the desert in Egypt where all the fancy pants has got to go and, eat fancy dinners and stay at great hotels and private jets and all that stuff. Just thought of that. Remember the movie Bachelor Party with Tom Hanks? Chicks and guns and fire trucks. Yeah, that was COP27. Anything come out of it? No. There's no fossil fuel pledge, nothing. What do you think was going to happen? Again, you know what? You get to a position, you like John Kerry, you just go to these things. You go to these things and you make yourself feel good. It's so pathetic to me. It really is. I've never, do you see The Fast and the Furious? Anybody see those movies? They're on their 10th right now. On their 10th Fast and Furious movie. I haven't seen one. The budget on the latest one is $340 million. Holy shnikes. Big movies. Obviously very popular. You've got 10 of them, for crying out loud. They're obviously bankable. Titanic. I refuse to see that too. So why in the hell am I going to see a movie? I know what's going to happen at the end. Boat sinks, crying out loud. Anyway, yeah, we'll leave it at that. I want everybody to know next week, I'm kind of recharging my batteries. I've got some stuff I've got to do around the house, around the office, Thanksgiving week. I do not think you're going to be hearing from me next week. I don't know. I may change my mind. Something might get underneath my skin and I may come on and do it. But as of right now, it looks like I'm going to take a break next week. And with that being said, and I'm going to talk about it this weekend on the radio show. I actually was talking about it on Monday. The last segment, Fox Business and Maria Bartiromo kind of sprung this on us. And what are you thankful for? How many people have that going on at Thanksgiving dinner? I never do that. I don't like putting people on the spot. And what are you supposed to say? It's like, if you're going to give an Oscar speech, at least you're nominated for the Oscar, so you can make a list of things and people to thank. But there's so many things, and again, we're so blessed. It's really hard to get your arms around. So, my thankful thing for today is going to be you guys. Thank you for listening to this program and helping it grow. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. God bless. We'll see you.